Hello and welcome everybody to our PAX West 2021 wrap-up discussion. This is one of many discussions we do here at Good Vibes Gaming, but this is a special one because I am here with my good pals and GVG coworkers, co-founders, everythings, right here in the same room. Of course, right here I have my co-founder Steve Bowling.
Heyo.
I have our video editor Brandon Miracle.
Hiya.
And our art director, Daniel. I'm so sorry. What is your last name? I can't remember at the moment.
It's Alba.
Alba. Daniel Alba.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. You just learned today. So
Yeah,
it's
I did
fine.
just learn it today.
His last name is Nighttide.
Yeah, Daniel Nighttide Alba.
Evernight Studios.
Evernight Studios. You have like 5
I'm
names.
so sorry, everybody, for making that.
Daniel
so
Ever Alba Tide Studios.
We'll explain that one day.
Yeah, but this is the first time we've ever gotten to do a live GVG staff discussion. This is awesome. We are unfortunately missing our other co-founder, Derek Bittner. He is at home. He couldn't make it out to PAX, as you all know who've been following our PAX coverage so far. We miss you, man, and we love you. Hopefully for E3 we'll all be together as one cohesive whole. But for now, you got us, and we're going to talk about PAX.
Yes,
We're
indeed.
gonna talk about what we've seen, what we've played, what it feels like to be at conventions again, what it feels like to be on the road again, and how, I guess, I almost said post-pandemic PAX, but really mid-pandemic PAX compared to
much.
pre-pandemic PAX. And I know the first thing that we all noticed when we arrived for Media Hour on Friday morning was that it was like a ghost town, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, usually, Media Hour is just, it's a mad rush to just, get to all the games and all the biggest games and play as much as you can. And it's just a mad dash to do as much as you can in as little time as possible. And when we lined up to get into the media line to get in, it was just, you could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet.
It really was.
Yeah.
And, being my first PAX, I didn't really know what to expect, so I feel like it's almost like I didn't go to a PAX because...
You kind of didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because based on what I've heard, it's, it's just nothing like what we experienced.
Yeah, the PAX 10 this year was the majority of the games at the show, which was a little weird. We went through the show floor today, Brandon, you and I, and we were able to actually go hands-on with everything we wanted to inside of about an hour and 15 minutes.
The energy today, immediately, it was noticeable just how much quieter it was from yesterday. Yesterday, specifically, I think was a little bit more what I would have expected in terms of volume of people.
Right.
It got a little uncomfortable, I'm not going to lie.
It did.
So today it was nice that it was a little bit slower, but it was almost ghost towny.
Yeah, I agree. Friday was extremely quiet throughout the day. Even once they let the public in, it was pretty quiet on the show floor. You were able to, I think during our walkthrough video, Ash and I both took turns just walking through the aisle with our arms stretched out.
Yeah.
Just something that you just can't do at any expo.
Right. And it's weird, like, being able to take multiple strides and not bump into somebody.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, not even just PAX. Like, speaking for myself personally, the various jobs I've had in my career, I have been part of the convention circuit. I've worked all the PAXs, well, most of the PAXs, San Diego Comic-Con, E3, C2E2, New York Comic-Con. So I'm used to being in spaces with lots and lots of people, shoulder to shoulder, having to navigate your way through crowds. And it's weird being at a convention, one of the big ones. PAX West is one of the biggest ones, and it just feels almost like a library convention. It has felt almost like a library convention, just given how quiet it was on day one and today, as you said. But also, as you guys said, day 2 was weirdly almost more congested than I expected, because I didn't expect it to get quite as intense as it felt on day 2, which of course is Saturday. And that is typically PAX's biggest day, so that makes sense to a degree, but we are still mid-pandemic, so I just kind of was surprised.
It was difficult, too, because with the lower number of games, the big 3 not being there, all the lines for the indie games were full. So we couldn't get to anything, and because the lines for the indie games were full, people were flooding the vendors. So the vendors had lines. You could not do anything without waiting. It was unlike anything I've ever seen.
Without those huge AAA publisher booths to siphon off the majority of the crowd, the result was just everything was literally unusable, to the point that, Brandon, you and I left the show floor yesterday afternoon on Saturday, just because there was not only nothing that we were able to do in a reasonable amount of time, but it was also uncomfortably congested on the show floor.
I distinctly remember, like, you and I and Michaela walking through Sky Bridge, and you and I just immediately, like, getting this sense of dread that we should not be in this building right now.
Yeah. If the pandemic has taught me anything, it's that I have a newfound fear of closeness with strangers.
Yeah.
And, I mean, in any other year, I would have felt like, okay, this is normal. This is what I expect from a show. It was that shoulder to shoulder, people kind of pushing past each other to get places.
Yeah.
But in the context of the current situation we're all in, it made me deeply nervous to be there. And there was no type of enforcement of, like, people go, lines or social distancing or anything. It was, people at the Bandai Namco booth in particular were just crammed into that line together.
I was kind of looking sideways at Bandai Namco for that, because they were not doing a good job of really sequestering people and making sure there is some sort of social distancing going on, which I think could have been handled better. And I don't know how much of that falls on Bandai Namco staff versus the PAX enforcers, but I do think that could have been handled better. On the other hand, I do want to say PAX has done a really good job enforcing masks. And something I do want to make clear for everyone watching, there was a vaccination and or negative COVID test mandate in addition to a mask mandate. None of us would have been here if those two things hadn't been in place. We're not just trying to play the lottery here. I don't think either of us would have come, and we certainly wouldn't have asked our amazing team to come to the show if there wasn't a vaccination mandate and a mask mandate.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason we're all doing this, and we're all vaccinated ourselves, of course. So I do want to make that clear for everybody. We're not just hell yeah, let's go party and not worry about it. Those mandates were in place, and but masks have been really well enforced, but not always the social distancing aspect.
Yeah, the social distancing. I would say it was decent on Friday and today, which is Sunday if you're watching this later. But on Saturday, it was just out the window. Like, they were just trying to. They very clearly overpacked the hall.
Overpacked the hall?
Overpacked the hall, yeah. And considering this year's variation of PAX Pox, I was just, I was like, you know what? I've seen enough for today. I'm gonna wait and see if it clears up. And thankfully today it did. Today it was much more reasonable to get around. Getting around the show floor was pretty easy to do. People were, spaced out from each other. I think that's just due, however, to like a thinning of the crowd. People just losing interest and not coming back on Sunday, or only having Saturday passes or whatever it was. But today was, there was a significant drop off in attendance, it felt like.
Yeah. Now, as for what we got to see, Yumi and Michaela got in line to play Squish. Michaela has been pushing hard.
Oh my god.
For us to go play Squish.
Honestly, when we got in line, I was like, I just need her to be quiet about Squish. I just need to stop hearing about Squish. I was like, it's a game called fucking Squish. Like, how cool can it be? And it turns out she was right. It actually is insanely cool.
Yeah.
Some of the best things in life are squishy, though. Kirby, for example, he seems like
asses,
slime,
asses. Slime. So squishy can be good, but like I didn't really have much context for this game other than it was called Squish, and Michaela was just losing her mind for it.
So Squish is a 4-player platform brawler, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. It's set up similar to Smash Brothers. You can't physically attack each other. You can jump and you can dash in any of 360 degrees. But the kick of the game is that you are in the midst of a falling block puzzle that is falling down on you. So you can use your dash to knock into a falling block to push it one square over. Mm-hmm. And the idea is to have your opponents get squished in between blocks or block the floor, or however it may happen, or items that appear on the field. And there was a surprising amount of depth and strategy to the gameplay that you wouldn't expect just from looking at it.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with that. I felt like it was really... it was way more hype to play it than to watch it.
Yes.
Like, I was watching people and I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat. But once we started playing it, everybody started getting really animated. We all started screaming at each other.
Yeah.
And to be clear, you're saying falling block puzzle. That you mean Tetris.
Tetris, yes.
It is absolutely Tetris.
Yeah.
And I do think that's one component that I would have loved to have seen in the game is to have, as you mentioned, a fifth player who controls the puzzle blocks and is actively trying to help or hinder certain players. Which I think that could make, take it to the next level.
That'd be kind of like an asymmetrical multiplayer type thing. Like a little bit like what we saw. We did another After Dark stream last night where we played Mario Party 6, and I was being reminded of all the games we played. And one of my favorites was Crate and Peril, which is an amazing name.
Yeah.
But how, the one player is moving the box, where the other three players are in the box and trying to avoid the shells. And I love asymmetrical multiplayer experiences like that. So I love that idea, Steve, having a fifth player control, or a fourth player, I guess, if they don't want to go more than 4.
Oh, yeah, well,
controlling the falling blocks.
To be fair, totally not my idea.
That was
Brandon's idea.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just reiterating it because I thought it was
my bad.
Well,
Brandon's idea then.
So Squish devs, if you're listening, that'd be a cool idea. And if it's already in the game, you're already on the right track.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do have to level one criticism at it, though.
Yeah.
So when you die, like when you get squished, you do get to come back as a block, and you control that block.
Oh.
And if you manage to squish another player in the field, you regain your life.
Yep.
And that's cool. It's honestly a little easier to nail than I thought. But the thing I really disliked is that it starts you off screen, so you can't see yourself as you're falling.
Yeah.
And if you come into contact with an item that is also off screen or a block or something, your block can get destroyed before you ever see it.
And that happened to you.
Yeah, it happened to me twice, and it left me wondering. I was like, why did I not respawn? And it could be solved so simply by just having like a little magnifying glass that shows your
like
block
Smash
if it's
Brothers.
off screen, like Smash.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of Smash, Chief Keef's intern, that name, in our YouTube chat says Squish for Evo. Might it happen?
I could see
Squish
it
be an
happening.
Evo game?
I think it could.
Nice.
It has a nice competitive spirit to it.
Yeah.
I think if Smash is colloquially and often derisively referred to as not a fighting game, Squish is absolutely not a fighting game.
Oh, I didn't think it was a fighting game, but could there be maybe like just a fun community side tournament thing?
Yeah,
for this
I
game?
can totally see it.
Yeah, no, certainly not a fighting game, but it does have an air dash. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It does, yeah.
And any game with an air dash,
It
in my
almost is
opinion.
solely focused around the air dash.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any game
It's-
with an air dash is better than a game without an air dash.
The air dash is a core component because you need to use it in order to push blocks.
Nice. Okay.
So some of the things you can do is push blocks that are already on the ground to squish an opponent into a block that's like up against a wall, or you can create a little box around them so they can't get out. And then if you go onto the block on top, you can dash it down into it to push it down and squish them down like that. Just honestly, really cool thing. The dash itself works basically identically to the one that you find in Celeste.
Oh, well, I love that.
Which is a good segue for you to talk about what you did at PAX today.
That is true. Although before we do that, we do have a super chat. $5 from Late Night Sprites saying, did a visit at an outdoor shopping plaza safely, came home, ate, and collapsed for 2 hours. Being safe is important, but exhausting. Might not con this year. And you know what? First of all, thank you for
Totally
the donation.
valid.
And totally understand.
Yeah.
It has been, I'm glad we came, and I'm glad we all got to do this together. But it certainly has been an interestingly kind of nerve-wracking experience.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not living in fear necessarily, but I've definitely been thinking like, oh man, this could be a risk. You never really know.
Yeah.
I mean, even though we're all, of course, fully vaccinated, you never really know what could happen. But I do think PAX has taken reasonable measures in general.
Yeah. I'm kind of the mind that I want to see what happens a few weeks from now.
Same.
See if folks did get COVID or not. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I think we were, us here, we were really safe. We carried hand sanitizer with us. We were pretty religious about every time we played a game,
Every
touched
time.
anything.
Yeah.
Every single time. Making sure we clean ourselves up. Michaela was there with
Michaela
the
was
bottle
amazing.
at the ready,
Yes.
spraying everyone.
Yeah. And I did see devs wiping down controllers after every demo. At least at some. At PM Studios, they were really good about that.
They did it at Squish between
Yeah.
every single round. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I'm interested to see, because I feel like the industry at large is probably watching this show to see what happens in terms of, spread of coronavirus or whatever.
What Paxons?
What
Sorry,
PAX?
it's such a good. It works with so many different words.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
I think, though, that the industry is probably watching this. The ESA is probably looking closely. ReedPop is certainly going to be analyzing data coming out of this area to see, how many of their attendees, if any, hopefully none, but let's be real, There's
no
not
way.
Gonna happen. There's no way 0 people.
Right.
But I think it'll be interesting to see what the numbers look like, and I bet there will be some reporting on this in a month's time.
I hope so.
We'll see them saying, hey, people went to PAX and everything was okay, or nothing's okay, and I think that'll have a very heavy bearing on the future of events in the industry.
Right. I agree. Before I segue into my Celeste story, though, we do have a super chat from Kirby Catcher, who we met today.
Yes.
$20. Thank you so much. $20,
Thank you.
Kirby Catcher, saying, "Hey, all, Kirby Catcher here, or I guess now known as Jonas. You guys showed me an awesome amount of love today, so thought I would send some back. Once again, thanks for everything. Hope to say hi again next year." Well, Kirby Catcher,
thanks so much.
It was a genuine pleasure meeting you. We had a fan meetup today, for those of you who aren't aware. And a few people showed up, and we had a great time taking pictures, chatting.
Yep.
It's always so wonderful and humbling and just awesome to meet our fans in person. And, Jonas, same to you. We hope to see you again next year, and we hope that it can be a bigger show next year. Hopefully we're in a better place with this crazy pandemic next year. And we have more of a normal PAX and meet even more of you. We just got one more super chat, another one from Late Night Sprites, $2 again. Thank you. Exhausting to stay on top of things, mind and body. Yes. It is. That is for sure. Yeah, no argument here.
And Ash, before you get into your story, I do want to address the chat. Squish, I think it was coming out next month on Steam and
early 2022.
Early 2022.
Oh, okay. Wow.
On Switch and Steam.
Switch and Steam.
Okay,
Exophobia is coming out next month.
Oh, I mixed it up. Okay.
Oh, okay. And we should talk about Exophobia too, but I guess since we did talk about that quick segue, so PAX also isn't just known for its show floor, it's known for its panels. And even though this year was a pared-down PAX, they even call it Camp PAX, which just sounds like a little bit less of an official PAX, I guess. There were still some panels, and we were here to work mostly, of course, so we don't go to a bunch of panels, but there was one, and if you guys know me, there's one panel I'm going to make time for. It's Name That Video Game Tune, basically video game music trivia. And Danny and I went together and had an awesome time. Unfortunately, he didn't get called up. I was hoping you would, man. It was like a ticket system. I was 364, you were 365, right?
Yeah.
And what's funny is that they did call up 346 and 356.
They danced around my number the entire time, and I was not able to go on. But I'm glad Ash was able to go on, at least between the two of us, because yours ended on a good note.
Yeah,
as far as your entire
so I ended up sweeping my round. It was like 5 different rounds of three contestants each. And this wasn't my first time doing a video game music trivia panel. You guys know me. I love my video game music. But I got called up. I was lucky. And there were probably, 100 people or so, 150 people in the audience?
Yeah, that was filled out.
Yeah, and I got called up, and I completely swept my round. And the only Mega Man song in the show was in my round. I got to identify Mega Man Battle Network's title theme.
It was the very last one.
The very last one. And they had, Gangplank Galleon from Donkey Kong Country. And I felt a little bad because, again, I swept my round, and I was, getting these...
You had TMNT on yours as well.
I got that one wrong, though, because it was funny. So it was a Turtles in Time song, but I associate Turtles in Time with the Super Nintendo, and I'm used to the Super Nintendo sound fine. Yeah. But it was the arcade version. But I didn't think about that, and I guessed Hyperstone Heist from Genesis.
The Super Nintendo does have Bury My Shell at Wounded Knee. I think you're thinking of the Genesis version, I believe.
Well, the Genesis version, Turtles in Time never came out on Genesis.
Oh, right. Yeah, but the one I have on the Super Nintendo, that one does have Bury My Shell at Wounded Knee.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't have the one that you mentioned.
Right. So I got the wrong TMNT game, but either way, I was able to sweep my round. That was awesome, and I won this super. I wish I remember the name of the design studio that made this, but it's a really cool handmade Madeline plush. And this zipper's real, by the way. The zipper on her jacket's real. It's so cool.
It's really cool.
Comes with her little satchel and everything. And I won that and $20 in Amazon gift card money, which is kind of cool. But so that was my little anecdote about this awesome Madeline plushie. And if whoever's made this, if you watched it, please let us know. Get in touch with us. Would love to talk to you more about these really cool things. Maybe do some giveaways, because this is awesome. And I'm going to treasure this. So thank you very much. But we did play some more games other than Squish. Exophobia was one of the ones we mentioned. That was also another PM Studios game. And this was an interesting one because it's basically a first-person shooter, but it's just steeped in retro visuals, essentially. It's like an 8-bit FPS almost.
Kind of Doom, kind of.
It's like Vector Wave Doom in 8-bit style.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And I think we all got to play it for a little bit. Unfortunately, I ate shit immediately because we were playing on PC, and it was a keyboard and mouse setup. And those of you who know me, I just don't play games on PC. I need a controller. The controller wasn't available. I died immediately. But I still love the look of the game.
Yeah, it has a gorgeous design to it. The use of color is what's really interesting because it looks on the surface like a 90s FPS, but it has colors that you really aren't used to seeing in that style. Like it's a lot of blue, a lot of pink, some deep reds. It's very striking when you see it in motion. But I'm with you, Ash. You know, I'm not totally incapable of playing with keyboard and mouse, but I think it was the mouse specifically that they had at the demo station just did not feel great to use.
No, it did not.
Turning was very slow.
A little too slow.
Yeah, I turned the sensitivity up to 100%, and I still had to do this to even turn a full 360.
It just shouldn't be that way. But that might be just due to the sensor on the mouse they had. It didn't seem like they brought anything particularly like gaming oriented. It was just a mouse.
There was not much space to move it either. That didn't help at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. There wasn't a ton of space to move. But what I did play, I enjoyed. You know, the action seemed fast-paced. The gunplay seemed fun. It worried me a little bit that the game's coming out in a month and the reticle on the screen was just a pink square. I was like, that seems off.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember you mentioned that the sound design wasn't anything like particularly memorable. It was just
wasn't quite what I was looking for.
I played with the headphones on, which I then had Michaela spray me in the ears with hand sanitizer.
I saw you put those headphones on, and I was like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
You gotta be adventurous sometimes. No, I'm just kidding. I desperately wanted to hear the music in this game because being somebody who did grow up playing like Doom 2, you know, those songs are iconic to me, and I wanted to see what they did with it. And unfortunately, a combination of it being a little noisy on the show floor and just you know, the headphones not being great and also not really wanting to wear them, it just kind of, you know, I didn't get the best impression of the audio. The gun sounds sounded pretty bland, and the music was really nothing to write home about. But again, I can chalk some of that up to it, you know, the show floor not being an ideal environment to try to really hear anything.
Yeah.
You know, even at a quiet show like this PAX has been, there's still a ton of sound going on around you. And if you're really trying to sit down and listen to something, you're going to strain to hear it.
Right. Speaking of games that can be difficult to get into on the show floor, I didn't get to play this because the demo was so long and I just couldn't wait any longer. But there's another game at PM Studios that you actually pointed out to me, Steve, called Ikai. And it's like a survival horror game, like a first-person survival horror game steeped in like Japanese mythology and horror. And it seems like you're being hunted by like a Japanese ghost type entity. Kind of reminded me of Fatal Frame a bit, but without the of course the camera mechanics. And it seemed pretty cool. It seemed pretty scary. The people I watched, I watched two people play the demo ahead of me, and they both jumped when there were some jump scares, and they both got freaked out. They got a couple of game overs, and it seemed pretty cool. The writing seemed, at least the on-text writing seemed to be a little bit dry, like didn't have a lot of personality to it, I guess. But it looked nice, and it seems to be the kind of game where I can imagine, you know, on a noisy show floor, even with headphones, it's hard to get into it.
Sure.
But from what I saw, and the environment design, very dark, creepy. You're basically exploring a Japanese shrine, and it houses shrines, and I could see it being the kind of game where if you're by yourself with headphones at night, probably the kind of game, Steve, that you would not enjoy playing.
Absolutely not. I didn't even want to try the demo.
Yeah, but it seemed pretty cool, and PM Studios in general had a pretty neat variety of games on show, I would say.
They were probably my favorite showing on the floor, just in terms of what was available.
Right, and Daniel, I know you went to. We'll get back to the indie scene in a bit, but I know you spent some time at Bandai Namco to play the Tales of Arise demo.
Yes, I did. But before we get to that, we have a super chat from Titus Malvolio telling us, "Sad I missed out on meeting you guys, but wanted to send some good vibes. Side note: finished No More Heroes 3 this evening. Jesus Christ, that ending."
Nice.
And yeah, I know you mentioned to me, Titus, that you wanted to meet up with us, and I'm really sorry you weren't able to, but hopefully we can do that again sometime in the future. This is not going to be the first time or last time
No.
that we get together, so hopefully that'll happen in the future. And kudos on finishing No More Heroes 3.
For sure.
Yeah, awesome. Kudos, man. And yeah, well, again, I'm really sorry about that. We were going to have our meetup on Saturday afternoon, but we had a last-minute appointment change, and we had to honor that appointment, so we had to move our meetup to Sunday today. So we are really sorry about that, but we do want to meet you next time or as soon as we can, and we really appreciate your support and you being in our community, man. Seriously.
Thank you.
So, Tales of Arise.
Yeah.
What was that like, that demo experience?
Well, there was a whole experience just getting into that line, because considering that the big three weren't here, one of the biggest presences there was the Bandai Namco station, which pretty much just had Tales of Arise. There were 16 different stations with about a 20-minute or so demo. Just they had to really like pack in people in there just to make sure that there was a good flow of people like
Packs in people.
Yeah, the packs in everybody in there. You're gonna keep up with this.
I
all
sure
night.
am.
Yeah.
You know it.
Keep it coming. But yeah, we had when I finally was able to squeeze into the line, it was probably about like another hour wait just to get in there.
Okay.
Thankfully, all the people that were inside were pretty knowledgeable. They had told me that this demo was basically the same demo that's publicly available to everybody for the PS4, PS5, what have you. But as far as I'm concerned, yeah, it plays very well. It plays just as you would expect some basic mechanics for a Tales game to be. Or the last release was about 5 years ago, Tales of Berseria. And if this is your first time coming into Tales after that, you can definitely feel there's some major differences. The graphical style has made the biggest leap that you've seen since really any Tales game that I've seen. To be honest, like even Tales of Berseria, the previous game, feels like a PS3 game, like as far as the visuals go. So making that jump and playing it on the PS5, which I did, is just a major improvement. It has a very like painterly art style to it. When you're in battle, the effects are so like crisp and beautiful to look at. The flow of combat, if you're a Tales fan, you'll pretty much adapt to it very quickly. If anyone who's played the demo probably already knows this, but yeah, it's pretty much just you're demoing within one field. You're doing like one side quest, essentially beating a boss, and yeah, it was just. I'm really excited for this game to come out just next week. Now it's already about that time.
That happened fast.
Yeah. But yeah, essentially, yeah, that was one of the only games I had played on there. One of the major games and titles over there, which is just crazy to think that the to think that Bandai Namco was the biggest presence at PAX.
Right, that's wild to think, and even they only had one game there with them.
Yeah, that was the only game they really had on there. They had like a booth where you could take photos, but essentially, yeah, that was the major presence for Bandai Namco there. And,
right.
And yeah, that was it.
We're still gonna have to keep waiting to find out what that Klonoa Encore trademark is about, which happened like a year ago now, more I think. Who knows?
Soon.
This is so unfortunate. While we're on the subject of Tales of, Jenny in our live audience patron chat says, while heading out today, I overheard someone on the train say Namco's Final Fantasy game, and it hurt me.
Oh,
that
man.
sucks.
Ouch.
That sucks.
Ooh. Oh boy.
That I hope you gave that person a dirty look, Jenny.
Yeah,
seriously, that's awful.
I'm truly hopeful that with as much of a push that Bandai Namco is giving to Tales of Arise, that this is going to be the game to help push it more into like the public scene, because right now it's really been like a kind of a niche series, even up to this point. So hopefully, fingers crossed that this is going to get more eyes on this series that I believe it deserves.
Yeah. No, for sure. There were a couple other games I wanted to mention. Did you guys get to play anything else today that we should talk about, or anything not from PM Studios?
We did. There was one we didn't play, but we did discover. I failed to remember the name of it.
Okay.
It was the. Is that what it's called? Republic of Jungle, the social deduction game.
Yeah,
right.
That looked awesome.
Right.
So it's 10 to 30 players. I don't know the exact like concept. It's like you're in a corporation, or
It's like Among Us meets Jackbox.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that one.
Which is an interesting combination. I'm really bad at Among Us. I've played a few games. It's not really my thing, but I love Jackbox, and so maybe the marriage of the two could be something for me, possibly.
For us, it just seemed like it'd be a really fun game to play with our audience, because
Sure.
I mean, you guys do Jackbox quite often on the channel.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, 10 to 30 players. I love social deduction games. One Night Ultimate Werewolf hits our board game table quite often.
Nice.
Nice.
And yeah, it really appeals to me. I haven't gotten a chance to try it yet, so there isn't much more I can say because they didn't have a lot of gameplay available.
Right. Well, there were a couple other games that I saw when I was walking around during the show, but it didn't get into play. There were crowds kind of mobbing them, and I didn't really want to get into those crowds for obvious reasons. But Thunderful had a booth there, and there were 2 games that looked interesting to me, which were Fire Girl and Cursed to Golf.
We saw Fire Girl, and that looked neat.
Fire Girl looks dope.
It's cool, and they called it a Hack and Splash, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I love that name, or that I guess that genre, Hack and Splash, and it looks almost like an HD 2D firefighting platformer sim-esque thing, and it looked you play as the titular Fire Girl, but it's from a 2D perspective, and it has kind of an HD 2D look to it.
Yeah,
it looked really cool.
Yeah, it looked pretty awesome. We saw it right toward the end of the show today, so unfortunately we didn't get a chance to play it, but fortunately Thunderful is pretty easy to get in touch with, so I was like, yeah, I just need to remember that and get in contact with them. I have no clue when it comes out, but I'm definitely down to try it.
Yeah, it looked really neat. And then Cursed to Golf was also a 2D game, weirdly enough. When you think of golf, you think of 3D golf games generally.
Right,
yeah. But this was a 2D side view golf game, and I don't know exactly what the gimmick is, but essentially it looked almost like Cave Story a little bit. Like the main character looked a little bit like Quote.
Okay.
And it had kind of a Cave Story-esque look to it, and it was basically golf gameplay with what seemed to be platformer mechanics, and again in a 2D side view space. And so I didn't get to play it. I didn't want to get into that crowd of a lot of people who were at Thunderful's booth.
Sure.
But it looked really neat from a distance, and I'd love to check out one or both of them. Really.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I mean, and that's pretty much, again, this year the show's weird because we were back at PAX and that was exciting, but the vibe was just a little bit. It just wasn't quite there, or maybe it was just different. Maybe it was there, but transformed, I guess.
Yeah.
It just wasn't, but it didn't have that festival atmosphere, I guess, that PAX usually has.
No.
But that makes sense. We are still mid-pandemic. People are still understandably nervous. The capacity was capped. And of course, not as many people were coming in the first place. So it does make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
But I will say, though, that the panel that I went to today, the video game Name That Tune, that felt like a panel. It felt like a PAX panel. There was a jovial atmosphere in there, I would say, right? Yeah, there was energy. People were clapping and, hollering from the crowd. And it was just a good community PAX atmosphere, it felt like previous years.
That's awesome.
And that was
Nice.
really nice.
Yeah.
I do want to highlight one last game. We got to take a look at it. We didn't play it, but the narrative hook from it was really compelling to me. We talked to the guys at Euphoric Games about their game they have coming out called Human Apocalypse.
Okay.
And the thing that I found interesting about this was it's like a zombie game, but it's a zombie game that is a post-apocalypse.
Interesting.
So you play as a zombie, but they've already figured out the zombie apocalypse and overcome it and cured the zombies. So you're not technically playing a zombie, you're playing an ex-zombie. You're playing somebody who was cured of their zombieism,
right.
But you turn back to a regular person, but you're still green. And it explores the way people treat you, knowing that you were an ex-zombie, and like you move to a new town and have to get a new job, and people discriminate against you because you were a zombie at one point.
It's such a cool idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the minute I heard it, like I looked at the game and I was like, I don't really know that this is for me. And when they came up and they gave us kind of the elevator pitch on the game, I was like, I need to play this. Like,
right.
I really want to know what happens here. They have a free demo on Steam right now, but I don't think they have a release date set for the game just yet. But I'm absolutely going to go check it out. Like, I love the idea of a game exploring what happens after the zombie apocalypse is over, once humanity has figured it out and ended it. And I love the idea that they ended it by curing the zombies instead of just killing them all.
That's interesting. I like that. That's a cool twist.
Uh-huh.
Huh. Well, cool. I mean, overall, I would say definitely a different PAX, certainly scaled down, but I still had fun. And I mean, of course, the main thing is being here with all of you in the same place, getting to hang out, as a team for really one of the first times, the first time ever. I saw Steve a few weeks ago, but it was just the two of us and his friend Nick, whereas this is a true team vibe. Of course, we miss you, Derek. We wish you were here as well.
Yeah.
We hope the oil paint washes off.
Yeah, oh
Hope you're
God,
not feeling so
the whole
green.
Shrek thing. God, yeah. Oh man. But yeah. So I think overall a successful show, but definitely a different feeling show.
Totally.
And it'll be interesting to see where we are next year.
Yeah,
Compared
agreed.
to compared to how this year's show went. Is there anything else you guys want to cover before we wrap up here?
Well, this was just much like with Brandon. This was the first PAX I've been to, first time I've been to Seattle, and even I can tell like the energy here just isn't what it should be. You know, I've been to different cons, I've been to different expos, and even on the busiest day on Saturday, you feel like this weird tension in the air with a lot of the people that are around because it's just so packed. It's so paxed.
So PAX.
and
I like it.
And you feel like maybe we shouldn't be here in this kind of capacity just yet, but still, it's still good to come out. It's still good to see you guys. I'm glad we came out here and did this for the channel, just to bond with each other, and also just just to see the event itself. You know, definitely we'll do it again, and hopefully next year we have a PAX that's a little more towards the social norm again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Despite the slower event, my heart is full.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
And we'll see what happens next year with PAX East as well. You know, assuming it happens and they have the same mandates in place and it feels safe enough, we'll go to PAX East.
Yeah.
Cover that show and try to meet some fans in Boston as well.
Many as possible.
We want to meet as many of you as possible, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what the next year holds for conventions and us as a team. But yeah, I think that just about does it for our PAX wrap-up discussion. Before we do head out, though, I do want to give a special thanks to our collaborators, Presonus and Aver Media, for setting us up with some amazing equipment that have really helped make our PAX experience incredible and really
Thank you so
instrumental.
much.
These mics we're
Yes.
using, thank you, Presonus, because they've been fantastic. And Aver Media has helped us stream games we probably wouldn't otherwise get to stream on these GVG After Dark streams.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
At
yeah.
all. So thank you to you both. It's been great collaborating with you. We really appreciate it. And of course, we appreciate every single one of you and our audience, both on Patreon and on YouTube. We could not do this without you. We love you all so much. And on that note, just as a reminder, we are fully Patreon funded, so if you could, please check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/dvgaming. We offer a variety of tiers ranging from $1 a month all the way up to $400 a month if you'd like to sponsor our new show, Today's News Tonight. But we have a bunch of tiers in between those price points, lots of cool perks at every single one. So go check us out there if you can. But even if you can't, you just support us here on YouTube. That would mean the world to us. Drop a like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Every little bit truly does help as we seek to grow and get bigger and bigger. It really does mean the world to us. But that's about it for us today. So thank you so much for watching, and see you later from Seattle. And we'll be back for Today's News Tonight on Monday or Wednesday.
Definitely Wednesday.
Definitely Wednesday. We're not sure
Not
yet.
tomorrow.
Definitely
Monday
Wednesday.
is tomorrow. Yeah,
Monday is tomorrow. The time just blends together when you're at a show
Yeah.
like this. So
It
yeah,
does.
definitely probably Wednesday. But until then, everybody, thank you so much, and good night and good vibes. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.